Hello guys, it is Danny here again, and today it's another episode of League Racing in AOR. We are in Monza, Italy, and after I have showed you my setup, which you can slow-mo in with YouTube 0.25 speed, if you are interested in, I would like to show you my fastest lap of the qualifying, which I say it's the pole position lap in PC Split 1, which I race in. It was a very nice lap. I left a few tenths here and there. I mean, not a few tenths, because my personal best was a 19.3 and it will be a 19.4 high ends. So I left a few hundreds in there, but my first lap of the quali was not that great to let me risk, because, you know, if you have a great first lap you maybe risk for the second try, but I really wanted to improve that. I didn't want to get any invalid thing, but we knew that the race will be rain, so I didn't need to save my tires. I could push as hard as I could. Of course I do the same in all quali, but I would have had the option for a second run as well. At the very beginning of the video I say that, as you can see, it's a longer video, but it's long because it will be interesting, and I hope that you will realize it, because I will have a few great battles. As you can see, we have just finished the quali and I finished front of Impulsive Racer and Mercer Kieser. The race begins in wet, and I had a very hard start. I didn't really find the grip. I was with a dry setup because we all knew that the drain will dry, and I managed to keep the first position. Arriving to the first corner, I broke very late, and it was a key moment for, at least in my beginning of the race. Here, arriving to the end of the first sector, I braked quite early, but I kept the car stable, and the cars behind me were still battling, and I just had the pace to just feel and get the hang of the track, which is always amazing if you have an advantage like that in a rain, because you can make some mistakes, but you can be very cautious, and I didn't care about losing 1 or 2 tenths, but here I just totally lost it. I was too aggressive on the throttle and I went out to the gravel, and it was even in rhyme, but I lost more than a second or nearly 2 seconds with that, which was crucial, and I really didn't like it, but still I had the first position, and I was very lucky that Mercer, Kiefer and Sopa were battling with each other, so I could keep the first position. But here I realized that 11 ballast will be really hard to drive on rain, because if you slow mode in my setup, and if you were really interested in, I say that 11 ballast, it was with 2-4 wings, and it was a little bit oversteery, and at that point I knew that I will be suffering, because 11 ballast I just felt absolutely oversteery, and I needed to brake very early, because if I turned in my car in a higher speed I just lost the back end. And here you will be able to see that I brake very early, and it's not because I want to brake check Marcel Kiefer, who just had to go wide to not collide with me. I didn't want to do anything like that on purpose, but I just didn't trust in my car, and I didn't trust in myself as well, and it's the worst thing that I can do in rain. And luckily he didn't lose his front wing. I'm sorry for that if he counted as a brake check, but I didn't want to do that, of course. We heard from our engineer that the track will dry soon, so I didn't have to save my tires. I wanted to be aggressive again, and I totally locked up. I wanted to go slow. I didn't win any time against Sopa, but I got an instant 3 seconds penalty without any provisional warning, so it was again a bad momentum from me. But to be honest, I knew that everybody will be having penalties, so I was not afraid. I knew I won't get more if I don't do stupidness again, and I know that if I can just go away from the crowd, it will be okay. But here Topa was the second guy, and he is insanely fast in rains. He is insanely fast in rain, and he is insanely fast in dry as well. And I was very afraid of him. And here I felt the car okay, but I think I wasn't on the limit. And as you can see, I managed to pull a little bit away, and I managed to just go away by 1 second. And here I broke quite late, and even Marcel Kiefer locked up, and he did cut the corner. But you will be able to see from my cornerings that I brake too early, and I don't have the confidence to just throw it in the car. And you will be able to see a lot of times that Topa gains on me on the braking a lot. And here again I wanted to brake late, and I lost the backhand, and I needed to counter steer, and I just lost half a second in just one braking zone. And here I put it to rich mix to defend, but after I will put it down to standard, and I thought I will brake early again, and I let Sopa pass because I knew that if I can follow him it will be good for my race. But to be honest, I didn't want to let Sven pass as well, but he was on the side of me, I couldn't close the door, and I lost 2 position, and I wasn't aggressive at all. I don't like to be aggressive, but to be honest, I just wanted to let pass Topa, and I just wanted to follow him, learn his lines, because he's insanely fast, and I knew that is the way to get out of the crowd, and after, when the track comes to dry a little bit, I can attack him back. And jumping to lap 6, the track was good enough for intermediates, and I went into the pit as well with Sopa. The others stayed out for intermediate tires, and I was very curious about that, if it's the right choice or not. I broke quite early for here, but in the first corner I already felt the car more stable than it was with the normal wet tires, and it was a very nice feeling. But you will be able to see that here again I just hit the curb too much, and I lose the backhand, and you don't even see, but it's like half a second. Again, I missed the apex, it's like 2/10, and you will see that for the ends of the lap Topa will just break away from me, and we are in lap 8, the others pit too, and Marcel Kiefer, who was behind me, the guy who I come side by side with, I tried to brake very late, I gave him the room, again I lost the backhand, and he managed to keep it on the outside and have a better exit. It was a nice little battle, but fortunately I could come in front of Brandon Lee, which was very important, because falling back to P5 or P6 from P3, it's not a nice thing, or even we can call it P1, because I lost already 4 positions compared where I started, and it's just lap 8 and it didn't look good at all. And I know it just sounds like an excuse, but with this setup, with 11 ballast, with 2 forewings, it was very oversteery, and I needed to brake early. I couldn't exit the corners properly, and here you will be able to see that I just simply lift off, and Brandon even says thank you to me, because I just let him pass. I didn't want to battle because I knew that the track will dry soon, and I knew that on track I have the pace to get a podium, and that's why I just wanted to follow a faster car to just survive these wet laps, because I thought it will be good for me, because I could defend against Brandon, but then we would have lost about 2 or 3 or 5 seconds with battling compared to Marcel Kiefer and the guys in front, and it's absolutely unnecessary. And here you can see that Brandon was attacking Marcel Kiefer. He wasn't succeeded yet, but he will of course continue pushing, and I could stay very close behind them, which is very good and a very nice feeling, and I knew that this will be an interesting race in the view of 3 of us. And in the front, Sven and Topa already just went a little bit away. Here Brandon Lee just hit Marcel Kiefer a little bit too much, then it's maybe the best, but actually he managed to overtake him like that, and there wasn't any arguments after the race about him. I attack Marcel Kiefer as well, but I brake as late as I can, and you can see that Marcel Kiefer broke about 20 meters later than me, and he still managed to get the corner right. So that was the confidence I have in braking zones, and I didn't have much more on the exits of the corners as well. As you can see, I just put a bit of throttle. I just put my leg on the throttle, and the car instantly started to go away, at least the back end. It was very oversteery. And here I attack Mersic. I don't want to overtake him here, but he brakes very early, and that's why I just chose to go to the inner line and to the inside of the corner, and I managed to break away. Here I defend a little bit the inside line, but I realized that I don't have to. And Brandon locks up his tires, so even he pulled away a little bit, he fall back to us. And yes, again he makes a bit of mistake. He misses the apex, and we were very close for each other, and we knew that it will last until the end of the race, and it's the podium position. You can check the map. Topa and Sven Zerner, who was the guy in second place, were already far ahead by about 10 seconds, and here Marcel Kiefer just attacked me in the inside, and I totally didn't expect that, and I find it a little bit stupid to attack there. I may broke too early to him, but I gave him the room. And here I'm on the outside. We make a little bit of contact. I may have started to turn my car a little bit earlier than I should have, but all in all, during the whole race till this point, we didn't have any damage, which is of course crucial to not have, because my video describes that ACR Nobody is very close to us behind, and he is an insanely fast person in rain, and he has many world records in rain time trial, which is very great, and you can check his lap times and his setups. I definitely recommend him. He has got a channel as well where I don't know what he uploads, but definitely some Formula 1 content too. But now we are in lap 19 and nothing really changed. I was behind Marcel Kiefer, and before we started the race, we just saw that about the 40% of the race will be in rain, but we are now over the 60 or 70% of the race. I don't know how much by heart, but this track was still good in intermediates, and as you can see, the rain was still falling, so I needed to accept that. I was a bit angry that I didn't load in a better setup for rain, but here I was faster than Marcel Kiefer, and I tried to attack him, but I didn't want any stupid moves, any dive bombs, because I am contesting for the championship, if it's an existing verb, and I don't want to lose any positions unnecessarily, and I don't want to risk, and you can see from my battles, you can see from my starts that I usually have a little bit of a delayed start. It's maybe because of my internet connection, but I usually very careful, and I always give the room to the other guys, even if I could turn him, because I have the position, because I think that I really need to be constant, and I really mustn't have any kind of collisions, because you will be able to see him from later races as well. For an example, in Singapore, that some of the top runners has got also some kind of collisions, and here Marcel just broke very early. I didn't know why he did that. I didn't think that it was a brake check, but at that moment it was frustrating, because it was a very close miss. I didn't even want to overtake him. I even lifted off. But to getting back to my thoughts, here I defend the inner line and I lock up a little bit, but I could keep the first position. So getting back to my thoughts, I just want to be constant, and I don't want to make any mistakes. I don't want to lose any part of my front wing at any time of the season, because in every race is that the top runners always have got some kind of damage and always have got some kind of collisions, and it's what I would like to not have, and that's why I may accept losing positions, but in long termly speaking it will be good for my championship, because AOR is very important for me. It would be fantastic if I could win the championship as a debut. Even, you know, Topa and Brandon Lee missed many races because of esport, but still we are very strong pilots, all in split one. ACR team, who is second or first at this point of the championship, and I am really much equal with him on points. You know, it's very crucial to just get the maximum, and I can't afford any damage, so that's why I'm a bit more cautious. The guys went to the pits for the dry tires in behind me one lap earlier, but here I came back from the pit, and you can see that soft at this point with intermediates were equal, while Blendon locked up again, even went to the gravel, and he lost about 3 seconds compared to us. So I came to pit from behind Mercer Kiefer, sorry, from front of Mercer Kiefer, and I came back to the track in front of him as well. So at the lap 21, when Mercer Kiefer pit, the soft tires or the dry tires worked exactly same as the intermediates did, so it was a stop whatever that everybody could decide when he does that, because as you can see we kept the positions for the same. But here what I have waited for, the dry came and my setup started to work. Still you can see that the track was not dry, it was a little bit wet because we even have the splash, and here Marcel tries a dive bomb to the inside, which I didn't expect at all, but the track definitely started to feel better, and in these conditions it's always very hard to feel the balance and to feel the car, to feel the traction, because you don't know how fastly it's drying up or how wet is it yet, and of course you don't want to risk, so you need to be very careful with your speed. But as you realized, I kept the position against Marcel in that battle, and we are in lap 24, and I started to attack Brandon Lee, who I was definitely faster, but after the race he told me that he got a front wing damage, a green one actually, or a very light yellow, so it didn't affect him as much, mainly with the one front wing and high ballast, so it wasn't that bad for him, but definitely in the fast corners he lost some time compared to me because of the damage, and because I was very good in practices with the dry tires, and before the race I just hoped for a full dry race, and I knew that I could have won it, and I was a little bit frustrated fighting for only the 3rd or 4th place with a penalty already, while I started from pole and I should have been fighting for the race win. But this is what I had to expect, and I tried my best to attack Brandon Lee, but as you can see I just put it down to lean because I was not having so much fuel, and I knew that this is one of my last chance. I stayed very close to him, but he might have got a DRS, I don't know, but I didn't gain on him at all, even in rich mix. And here for the first corner again I put it down to lean, to maybe try a one last chance coming out from Escari in the last lap, but since Jeff didn't tell me that didn't tell me that he has got a penalty, I knew that I shouldn't be trying that hard, because Jeff always tells me when a guy in front has got a penalty, but now he didn't tell, and Brandon always lost a bunch of time with cutting the corners, so he definitely didn't even get a warning from that, while I was very aggressive and I just tried to not win but not lose any time when I cut the first corner in the 2nd lap. So that's why, since I had a penalty, I wasn't trying that hard, but I didn't even feel like I had slipstream. He was running with 1.3 wings, at least he told that to me. I was running with 2.4. It's not a big difference, but I couldn't get any closer, and that's where I finished my race in P4. I'm quite happy that I managed to do that. Thank you for watching again, and see you in the next one.